Hello, 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 hello. One day these glasses won't reflect like that. I'm actually making a video about about all the jobs I've had, because I've actually had over about 28 jobs. And why I'm making this video is because someone was talking to me and saying, what have you done since X amount of years? And so I started writing stuff down. And I started to think to myself, well, you should do one with all the jobs. I'm gonna take this gum out. As much as I want to eat it, I will chew on it, and I don't like that. So, yeah. So I'm gonna tell you about all the jobs I've had, and I'll give you a little bit of idea of really, about me and like where I've came from, really, and maybe why I'm the way I am. But so I started working when I was 11. By choice, I wasn't encouraged or anything like that. I wanted to get my babysitting license and start making money. I was very fortunate in my family and always got what I wanted, but I just wanted to start grinding. I was all about it. So I started babysitting around probably like 11 and 12. They were still kind of letting me babysit. And I was babysitting these two kids, Kyle and his sister Nicole, and they were so cute. I always had like the best time babysitting because obviously as a younger kid, I liked having fun and playing, so it worked out, gave me a reason. So I babysat probably for a few years there from 12 to at least 16. But in the middle of that, I also started working at a creamery. It was like a sub shop, and it was kind of very close to where I babysat, so it was perfect. I just went from there to there. I started off making subs, and they had ice cream there and, coffee. And I guess I essentially started serving there, really, and was the elf when it was time for Christmas to come. So that was fun. But it was really awesome because it was right off the highway and it was always busy and just like a great group of people. So I worked there until I was about 14, and then I started working at Stop 4 Variety. So I grew up in a small town of around 1,500 people. There's really only like the main road and then like the road that everyone was able to drive by the town in, and that had a couple things on it, but the main road had the Stop 4. So that was an awesome store. It was my favorite. A lot of younger people, well, they're a couple years older than me, but they all worked there. So older girls, I loved going to work. And it had ice cream there. It was a convenience store. It had pop in the back. It had movie rentals. It was pretty awesome. I always had the best time working there, especially when everyone wanted to come after baseball. And I was very much into baseball. So, I'd see some friends or whatever, and they'd be all getting ice cream. That would be awesome. So I worked there for a couple of years, and then I decided to start working at Subway because I was in high school then, and we had to drive to the next town over, and there was a Subway there. So I started working at Subway, and I was there for over like a year and a half, probably. And then I started working at the McDonald's, which was right beside, because then I had some friends working there. I had some friends working there for a little bit. And then, I turned, turned 17. And I went, because you couldn't get your smart serve until you're 18, right? So it didn't really matter back then. So I first started working at Wild Wings. So I left McDonald's. I stayed at Victory Lap in high school because our soccer team was going to Hawaii. So I stayed for that. And so I started working at Subway, worked at McDonald's, and I started working at Wild Wing. So I served there, which was the first Wild Wing that they had in Brecken. Oh, keeping in mind, when I was younger, I also shoveled people's driveways for money, cutting grass. I had a paper route. I was all about helping people, regardless if it was for money or not. So then after Wild Wing, I was going to college, which was sick working at Wild Wing because I made an entirely whole new group of friends. They went to a completely different school. It was a badass summer. I even got to go to Cuba with them on their graduation trip. So it was pretty unreal. It was unreal. It was awesome. And so then when I was going to college, which was all the way in London. So I think there was about a month grace period. There were 2 months maybe where I didn't work. As soon as I got to London, I was there a month and a half early. I'm like, I'm going to get a job until basketball tryouts and then I'll quit. So I got a job at Tim Hortons. Worked honestly as much as I possibly could, just trying to save money again. until basketball tryouts, made the team, and started playing ball. But then I got a job it was like literally 2 weeks later, I had an opportunity to work at Jack's, which is the bar downtown London. Very popular back then. It had 3 floors. It was packed. Like it was a money pit. And so I got an opportunity to start working there as security, which I already have my security license as well. And so I started working there as that, and I was like, you know what, I wanted to be a server. I want to make some more money. So I was doing security and serving and coat checks. So that was pretty awesome. And then, so I worked there for 2 and a bit years. And then I moved back to Oshawa. Back to my hometown. And I started working for Canada Post, which was only supposed to be temporary. I got asked to work there for about 6 months, so I started working there for 6 months, but then a girl there was going on maternity leave, so I ended up working for her maternity leave for a year, and then I ended up doing everyone's holidays, which there was 7 routes in there, so I knew how to deliver 7 routes and rack them and everything like that, which was pretty awesome. So I did that, and then my position actually came up because I was just a temp on a route, right? So someone else got it. I didn't even apply for it. I was like, this is cool. Like, thank you, Canada Post, for everything you've given to me, thousands of dollars. And so then at the time, I had a lot of friends in Hamilton, and so I was always driving on the weekends to visit them, like Monday through Friday. I was quite strict at the gym, being productive, making goals, everything like that. And then on the weekend, I would go to Hamilton, spend it there, and then come back and do the exact same thing. And then after I was working at Canada Post, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be making minimum wage, then I might as well live. That leaf blower is bothering me. You might as well live where your friends are. So I moved there, and I couldn't really get a job like on its own, so I went through the temp agency. It's just very hard out there. A lot of jobs there are through temp agencies as well. And so I had some pretty random jobs. So I stayed there for a year. I worked at this one place with, you know, when you take down the visor like on your car and it has like the seatbelt directions and stuff. Yeah, that's like what I was doing. I was working on that, seeing if there was any flaws and stuff. And then, so random. So for 89 days, right, because they don't want to hire you on after 90 days. So then I started working at a place that did like some random like plastic molding, which was actually really cool. Excuse me. I did that, and I also was doing security as well. I was doing 2 jobs back to back. Like I was doing a night and a day job. It was pretty messed up because you got to think I went from making, you know, say $3,000 a month, and I was 23, 24, and, you know, I had a brand new car, I had all this stuff, and then I'm like, shit, I wasn't working at Canada Post anymore. So I had to be grinding, like I had to be working these 2 jobs because I was barely making what I was, right? So I was always working 2 jobs. That was really hard on me. At a point, barely even get to see my friends, but so I did that plastic molding one. I did another one where I was like testing car parts. I was working through Toyota for a little bit as well, out there in like Oakville, I believe. What's another one? Yeah, like multiple were security mainly. So I was doing that for a year, and then honestly, I just started to like break down. I was so defeated. I was so overworked. I was, you know, like in survival mode. Yeah, it was crazy. So I just like broke down one day. I was like, I have to go home. Like I have to leave. And I left. I came back to home, and then I started working not shortly after, landscape. I'd say the longest I've ever gone without a job is probably like 3 weeks. My entire life, because I go out and get it. I get anything. I'm not too good to do any job. I did power washing before too. Hold on, we're still talking about Canada Post. Then the temp jobs, then security, then the landscape. Starting to do landscape. I do landscape for, is it 1 summer or 2? I can't remember. Anyways, I ended up asking for a raise, didn't get it. This other person who I worked with who was never doing their job and always on their phone and stuff like that got the raise. I was pretty pissed, so needless to say, I told them goodbye. I'm like, I'll get another job, no worries. Got a job like 2 days later, went on Kijiji, found this guy, he was looking for someone to hire who wanted to learn the trade. He was in renovations and stuff like that, he was a contractor. So I'm like, okay, I went for him, I met him for like an interview type thing. Keep in mind, like, I'm a girl getting in the trade, not happening often, you know. And he was meeting up with a couple of people, so I ended up getting the job anyways. I was making $12 an hour. I'm a really good learner, so I started learning really well. One of our first jobs was 1.5 story house addition, which meant demolition of quite a bit, right? The entire roof, taking the roof off, having that entire process. Then, you know, installing beams and flooring and trusses and walls and, you know, everything. I was there for pretty much the entire process. And then we started doing another one, which we built like a barn type baking restaurant thing. Not a restaurant, but it was pretty cool. It was really big, actually. And so that was sick, but at that point in time, this guy had jobs all the time. Like, I was working with him 7 days a week and just trying to make it as most money as I can. Like, obviously, he didn't care. I was $12 an hour, right? So, and I was the helper, and I was doing all this stuff, but I was actually learning and retaining a lot, no matter even if I was just helping. So I did that, and then one day I asked him for a raise. He said no. I said, okay, see you later. I took off. I walked out that day. Within the next week, I had another job, and that's kind of how that all went for me. I would just look for these guys off Kijiji. I found this other guy. We started working together. He had a shop here. You know, we've raised a house. That was pretty cool because the house was like tilted like that. So we raised it up, reinforced all of it. That was really cool. Renoed that person's place. Did a lot of cleanups. Did a lot of demos. Did a lot of... you know, I stick framed about 7 basements when I was with him, like quite a bit. He had me on that. He put me in there one day and he's like, I'll be back. And it took him a bit to come back. And by the time he came back, I pretty much had everything. So he was like blown away and I got like a $10 raise within a week. But to learn and figure out that he actually had a crush on me, because every time I said I would be going with my girlfriends, he'd get really mad at me, even though he had a wife. This guy was fucking weird. And it's pretty much how it all ended. There was a job in Toronto, and I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah, I'll pick you up in the morning, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I'm actually staying at my girlfriend's tonight. I'll meet you there. And he's like, yeah, you know what, actually, we don't need you. So I was like, all right, bye. Again, had a job within not even a week, working with this other guy in Toronto. We worked on... First, it was a demo and like a reconstruction, and then we did built-ins, which were pretty awesome. If you don't know what a built-in is, it's like cabinets on the wall that you just have a regular wall, right? And you build it out to make it look like it's actually a part of the wall. It's pretty incredible for whatever you need to put in there. So I did that for a bit, and then I was helping this other guy. What was I doing when I was doing that? I think I was doing also plowing as well too. I drove a plow truck, my buddy's landscape company. 2 winters actually I did that. I would never suggest doing that to anyone. It's a little different now because there's not as much snow, but it was hell. I hated it, and my friend was a shoveler, and we just had the best time, like just hating life, honestly. We were trying to have fun with it, but you know, sometimes I would look at the day and there'd be no snow, none. And my buddy would message me and be like, get ready, we're going out tonight. And I'm like, oh, first of all, that would bother me because it's like ruining my whole day. I have to think about doing that. But I'm like, how does that make sense? There's no snow. We're going out 12:30 at night, you know, getting down the next day and who knows how long. One time in Toronto, snowing so bad. It was like, we were out there for like 30 hours. It was torture. So I did that for a couple years, like I said, but while still also doing construction, which on days that would screw me over because I couldn't even go and do it. I'm like, sorry, I'm like driving this. But I worked with that guy for a bit. Then me and him got into it because We were at a customer's house, and I was talking to her, and then he was like, hey, whoop, started snapping his fingers at me and like telling me to go do something, and I was like, sorry? I'm like, do not snap your fingers at me. Like, if you want to ask me to go do something, absolutely I will. But do not snap your fingers at me. And I'm also talking if you want to get my attention. And he did not like that. As soon as she left, like, he came and rushed up right in my face. Picture this guy, like, 6'4", 200 and something pounds. Like, buddy looked like a chol. Even though chols are short, so I don't know. But yeah, so then after that, I said, listen, you know what? I don't want to be here, but I need the money. And he's like, yeah, and I could care less if you're here, but I need the work done. So I'm like, perfect. We agreed to disagree on whatever. Got the work done, and then he started hiring me out to other people because he made $10 off me. So I started working for other people, and then a couple months, probably 6-7 months down the road, we were just kind of like, all right, jobs are done here for a bit. See ya, good knowing ya. So that was cool. Then after that, I worked with these guys tiling. They're idiots, actual idiots. I remember them being like, they hired me without even calling me or anything like that. And then they were like, oh, we thought your name was Michael. Like, we didn't know if we were hiring a girl or a boy or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, cool, here I am. Anyways, rocked that job, obviously, because I'm one hard worker, like, honestly. And I got that from my mom. My mom's incredible. She never misses a day of work. Like, she's crazy, but she's awesome. So I'm thankful I learned that from her. Anyways, so I worked with them. They were idiots. They ended up ripping me off, actually, but that's okay. Got that back. And then I started running my own tiling stuff for a bit, which ran for about over a year. One of my first jobs was tiling a 1,500 square foot basement, and then I also did the entire bathroom for them, did a shower enclosure tile, did like granite type stone in the kitchen and the cellar. It was pretty interesting. Helped working on the back deck as well. I've helped build decks. I've done 8 roofing jobs. I hate roofing. I got my own demolition job to demo this guy's house because he was redoing all the renos. So I hired someone, they worked with me. We did that. Then he actually asked me to reno the basement, so I took care of that while this other guy took the upstairs. Then I was done before the guy upstairs, and that guy, honestly, he is the slowest person. I ended up working with him after that. Anyway, so whatever, I went in there and I helped him. Fine by me. I made more money. I was making money, consistent work. So did that whole house, and then I actually helped roof it with my brother-in-law as well. So that was awesome. And then, what's his name, Buddy, asked me if I wanted to work with him after that. So him and I were working gigs. So I had that busy for a while. Worked in King City too. It was pretty cool. Like, we reconstructed like the roof. There was things like that, and we took them down like that and squared them off. There was about 6 of them, and the place was a mansion. Like, we worked all inside, installed some beams, like raised the ceiling. It was badass. And so I did that for a while, and then it was time for me and him to part. I was just done with him. And yeah, then I was still doing some of my own stuff here and there. I always did painting and everything like that too. I'd always look on, anytime I had free time, honestly, I was doing something, trying to do something. I would look on Kijiji. Like, I worked for this one guy down here where I live now, painting all these new units when people moved out. I was like the maintenance guy. And then I worked for the union as well. Got in with the Union 27, Carpenters Union, which I worked for 3 years. I did scaffolding. I worked at the Pan Am Games, setting all the Pan Am Games up. I worked doing like restoration on outside of buildings. I worked doing raised flooring at the Toronto Sun building, which is interesting because one of my first general labor jobs was there. So I was there during the creation of it, and then I was there at they were putting extensions on, and we were doing all the raised flooring, which was pretty cool thing. It's like a 24 by 24 and like stainless steel covered like tile, but it's flooring, and you have it on raised flooring, so you have like stud type things, and you turn them up. It's pretty cool, and then you bolt them. So that was sick. And I was also working at Good Life at that time. When I was back working there in the union, when I was in the union, I was working at Good Life as well as a motivator. At that point in time, it seemed like I was the only one working. Then, yeah, that's probably about it right there. Yeah, and then I'm coming close to an end from living in Toronto. I was moving home because I was getting top surgery and I wasn't getting it covered by OHIP, so I needed to move home and make some money so I didn't have to pay for rent. So I got the first job I got handed to me was asphalt, which if any of you have done asphalt, you know, it's not fun. It's hard ass work. It's like 300 degrees and I'd be working out there baking in the sun. We did all the trails out where I live and we did parks and everything like that. It was a really awesome experience, really challenging job. And then I quit after 90 days. I said I was going to be there for 90 days, got my surgery, and then started working at Kelsey's as a server again because I was going to take that and with my flexible hours. Start my personal training. However, with my all or nothing attitude, I just continued to work really hard at Kelsey's and enjoyed the environment. I'd work like all day and then just go to the gym. I didn't really have time to create anything. And then I saved a bunch of money. And then last summer, I was supposed to take a couple months off and start my fitness. That didn't really work out that way. So then I got another job at Riley's, which is another pub around here where I live. Worked there for a couple months, just really wasn't my vibe. And then so I left and I went to another restaurant, which I'm still currently employed at if it wasn't for all of this. And then now I've started working on my own business and been creating that since the beginning of the year. This has been a dream for me my whole life. I've wanted my personal training and life coach. Like, I didn't know that I wanted my life coach, but my whole life I've, as you can see, just been a helper. I like working hard. I like doing things, and I like making a difference. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I just started it, and it's called Trans Living. If you made it this far, thank you for being interested in everything in my life. I'm sure I've even missed a few jobs, and there's stuff that could be stories, right? But that is the gist of what my life has looked like in terms of me working. And it's been incredible. When I look at it and put pen to paper, I can really see all of the things I've done, and I struggle with rewarding myself for things I've done. I have like the mindset of, I can do more. It's not that impressive. It's just my life. Like for me, all of this stuff and the way I live my life and the way I have my entire life. So this isn't a mindset of mine that's ever changed, but we're here to live our life. We're here to do a good job. We're here to try, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of having jobs and working hard and everything like that. And, all of us get certain things from certain things in life, and maybe mine's jobs and maybe mine's this, and maybe something is someone else's. But, it's very rewarding being a hard worker and being the reason that things are happening in your life. So that's why I can't encourage it anymore. And so now trans living, transform reality, and never stop living, because that's exactly how I feel. That's exactly how I live my life, and that's exactly how I promote it. So stay tuned if you guys want to hear anything else about my life or any other topic. I am an open book, and if you haven't caught it, me and my buddy are making some videos to throw up on our YouTube channel, so we will be sharing that. So stay tuned. We got some good things happening. Most of all, I want to thank you for supporting me, for everything, for listening to me, being kind, being curious, and having support. I love you all. Be kind to yourself and to others.